welcome everyone to 284 News. My name is Javon Wilson.
I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant.
And we are so thrilled and happy to be coming to you live out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands. The content continues via our website, 284media.com.
In today's news, Mr. Linton M. Wheatley, prominent businessman and founder of the BVI Day of Prayer, has died.
And digital vaccination database system with QR code technology to be launched next week.
High turnover at bank tellers as results in a client receiving poor customer service and unbearable long lines within the Virgin Islands. Bank institutions accused of subjecting residents to poor services.
And Yates Associates employees impacted both mentally and financially by alleged mandated 21-day isolation period for all staff, with the company to lose over $250,000 during that period. And we also see Olympian Chantel Malone receiving $12,000 check from the government for reaching the finals at the recently concluded Tokyo Olympic Games in Japan. We get to these and more stories when 284 News returns.
You value traditions. Today, you value music. You value education. Family.
I love you.
Service.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love. Life. At Popular, we're committed to you and everything our community values. For the things you value the most, count on us. Popular.
Welcome everyone. It's Wednesday, September 29th, 2021. I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant. We're coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands. A happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. In addition to all the stories we have, we're just going to touch government's hidden belongership policy deemed unlawful by the Commission of Inquiry, and police renew calls for compliance of curfew order. I don't believe the BVI will be in overseas territories for much longer, says Junior Minister for Trade, the Honorable Shireen Flax-Charles. And some very sad news hitting the shores of the BVI. The territory of the Virgin Islands is mourning the loss of stalwart businessman and founder of the BVI Day of Prayer, Mr. Linton M. Wheatley. Mr. Wheatley passed away on September 28th, that's yesterday, in the BVI. This was, of course, confirmed by family in an official post. Mr. Wheatley, among other things, was a member of the Church of God of Holiness, Bogus Bay, Tortola, and was known as a stalwart community member. He was the founder of the World Day of Prayer celebrations in the BVI, which continues to be observed today. Some of his well-known businesses in the BVI are Island Department Store and Happy Lion Restaurant. He is survived by his wife, Pearl Williams, 4 children, that is, and 7 grandchildren. More, of course, to come on this story as we develop.
Viewers, moving on to this next story, where the Ministry of Health will be launching a digital vaccination database system with QR code technology that will be accepted in many international countries such as the United Kingdom when vaccinated residents travel inbound to these destinations. But this was revealed by the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Ronald Georges, during a recent COVID-19 panel discussion on social media, where he revealed that the system will be launched next week. Well, he said the initiative was in the works for some time and will assist with alleviating some of the difficulties experienced by vaccinated travelers who leave the BVI and have vaccination verification issues in some countries. Well, Dr. Georges explained how this new system will work.
Right, so we've been working very, very closely with the Department of IT and Mr. Creaky and his team, and they have created an application, which will be web-based application. And essentially, the letters that we've been giving out, so people have been emailing the Ministry of Health, and we give out these vaccine verification letters on the Ministry of Health letterhead, and they are formatted exactly like the vaccine verification letters from the UK. So they're accepted in the UK and other countries. So we've been doing that for quite a while, and that's in preparation for a more in-depth system that the Department of IT has been working on for quite some time, and they've done quite a bit of beta testing on it. And it's basically ready for launch. We already had some information placed into the database already, and we've worked with it, and we're very happy with how it works. So essentially, persons can then go to this website, which is on the government server, and they can type in their information. They upload the copies of the little vaccine cards that were given when they were vaccinated, front and back. They upload their ID and some other verification information, and that goes into the database. And we're able to verify against whether they've been vaccinated or not against the existing databases and generate automatically, once they've been approved, a vaccine verification letter. And it has a QR code on it and a link. So anybody who gets that letter now can either scan the QR code, or if it's if they have uploaded a PDF, they can just click on the link and it'll go straight back to the government website and verify that this person is indeed vaccinated. So that would satisfy the requirements for a number of countries to travel.
Well, the Chief Medical Officer also revealed that there are plans to develop the database system to become compatible with the various mobile wallet applications to be of use to residents when traveling.
A lot of discussion on social media about these phones like Apple Wallet and Samsung. You can get some wallets for your Samsung device, and that letter, that QR code, can easily then be, you can do it yourself, or we can talk to the Department of IT to have an application on the website to do it, where you can then create a vaccine card, which you can then put into your phone wallet. So we haven't got to that stage yet. What we're ready to roll out beginning of next week is to launch the website. So you'll be doing some promotions for us to launch the website, to get the information out there where persons can go in there, put in their information, and then on the back end we will verify. And once it's been verified, they will automatically get their vaccine verification letter.
Well, viewers, Dr. Georges had previously reported that there were instances where persons were found with falsified local vaccination cards. Well, he said that this initiative, through its verification process, will assist with alleviating the forging of local vaccination cards. Around this is some very good news for those persons who are vaccinated and interested in traveling to some of the countries, for example, maybe Dubai, where may not recognize, the way how we currently have our vaccination cards in just being laminated. Some persons may think that it may be a forged or false document, similar to how some passports in certain countries are not really recognized because of they're not up to the international standard.
It is indeed a step in the right direction. Continuing on, viewers, on the local scene, a story that has garnered much attention from residents across the territory. As a result of the present times, one would imagine that after having lockdowns and closed borders, the need for workers in essential services such as banks would be of paramount importance. However, at any given period, clients of just about all the major banks in the British Virgin Islands are met with extremely long lines, which result in hours of waiting to see a teller. Imagine having 1 hour for lunch and spending that entire hour, and in many cases longer, standing in a line at a bank only to be met with an unenthusiastic teller, or better yet, as you approach the front of the line, one or two of those said tellers closes his or her station to go to lunch. This is simply unacceptable, and many calling it inconvenience. In conducting investigations with tellers and senior bank officials at banks within the territory of the Virgin Islands, one gets a totally different response for the lack of care and consideration for the time and business of bank clients. On one end, when hardworking bank tellers describe the level of work attached to being a bank teller versus compensation, one could somehow be inclined to sympathize with the lack of zeal by the tellers and the high turnover rate experienced within the BVI banking system as a teller. A female teller at one of the local banks said, and I quote, "The pay is degrading, and despite standard work hours being 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., you usually have to be in by 7 a.m. and don't leave until after 6 p.m., sometimes 7 p.m., or whenever you can really. I've worked many days with a 30-minute lunch break, or sometimes I don't get to take lunch at all, so nobody wants to be a teller." A male teller said, "Tellers behave so because they don't get treated well, so they don't care anymore. You just end up looking out for yourself because nobody's looking out for you, and take your lunch when you can, even if the line is out the door." Now, upon entering local banks, the low number of tellers are immediately noticeable. On average, no more than 3 tellers. In some cases, during peak hours or during pay periods when banks become flooded with check cashers, there are less than 3 tellers. Bank officials have once again blamed COVID-19 for the low number of tellers, stating that tellers are required to go overseas for training, and due to the COVID-19 applicants are unable to travel and pay quarantine costs. However, the fact of the matter is that the low number of tellers has been a problem way before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's take First Bank and Banco Popular, for example. Applicants are required to go to St. Thomas for training, and officials say this has served as a major deterrent in securing successful applicants because while hotel accommodation and food is covered, quarantine costs have to be dealt with by the applicants. Republic Bank and National Bank, on the other hand, officials stated that training of tellers is done internally and tellers do not have to travel overseas. Additionally, they say they seek to allow tellers the opportunity to rise within the ranks of the bank based on performance. However, poor succession planning in replacing tellers, that is, when promoted, is evident based on the low number of tellers. Furthermore, bank officials stated that the BVI is still very much a cash-driven society, and some persons refuse to utilize the many paperless and technological services offered in an effort to minimize interaction and the time spent by clients in the banking institution. Now, as a result, these clients, they say, will continue to experience delayed service and misuse time. Many residents still stress that after considering the frustration clients endure on a daily basis in trying to conduct business at local banks, a few things become evident. Bank officials seem unbothered by the poor customer service received by clients when hours are consumed standing in bank lines. To add to their poor management of tellers, results are in extreme for the high turnover rate, making this essential job a major turnoff to applicants. Now, in such difficult economic times, why isn't such an important role respected with an admirable salary along with organized hours and perhaps even a shift to ensure tellers are comfortable? Why aren't bank tellers guaranteed a proper lunch schedule and meaningful succession planning that would allow them to see this as a stepping stone for greater professional growth? What about improved customer service and consistency along the care and consideration for the time of clients that the bank will utilize, along with greater respect and regard, of course, for the very vital bank tellers that the service provides the public? Essentially, Kamal, persons are asking, don't you believe that this would allow the tellers to serve the public with more pride, pleasantries, and patience, and not as though they are being held at gunpoint? When considering, though, all the facts clients pay on a daily basis, the cost, this is not a big task. Furthermore, agencies that govern local banks, like the Financial Services Commission, should be paying more attention to the operations and poor level of service exhibited on a daily basis. Let's take, for example, recently, during a surge in COVID-19 cases, Banco Popular essentially forced an entire territory to solely access services through their drive-thru services weeks after, even after cases had significantly decreased. These repetitive acts of no consideration for clients and prospective clients of banking institutions in the Virgin Islands is simply unacceptable. So the real question is, when we look at it, why are we not looking at client-centered services? Why are we continuously putting Virgin Islanders through unprecedented and really uncalled for lack of service when it comes to the banking institutions? These are a lot of questions, of course, stories that come out of qualms, as we would call it, by the residents of the territory.
Indeed, obviously the banking situation in the territory have been somewhat of a fiasco as of recent, and we do hope that that issue is resolved as soon as possible. Viewers, up next, Yates Associates employees impacted mentally and financially by the alleged mandated 21-day isolation period for all staff, with the company to lose over $250,000 during this period. And Mourant HLSCC Classic Race Series kicks off its 26th season. We get to these stories after a word from our sponsors. Well, welcome back, viewers. Well, workers at Yates Associates, the construction company on Virgin Gorda, which has been at the center of a large COVID-19 cluster, stand to be impacted both mentally and financially as a result of the alleged protocols which has been implemented on the entire organization. And this is according to Managing Director of the company, Chris Yates, who told our news station in an invited interview on Monday, September 27th, that her entire company of approximately 120 workers were forced to cease operations following the discovery of positive cases among workers. While she said that the positive cases discovered were in one particular living area where 31 workers out of approximately 43 tested positive for the virus. However, she said that the other 70-plus workers who live in the other areas distinctive from the location of the positive cases were all told to isolate despite not being tested for COVID-19.
My opinion is that the government is panicking. There are 15 other cases that we know of in Virgin Gorda. This virus didn't drop from the sky. My workers caught it from somewhere. They do go out on weekends, and they're adults. They go wherever they want to go. But I'm assuming somebody picked up the virus somewhere. They haven't been traveling anywhere to bring it in from abroad, so it was obviously picked up in the community somewhere, and spread like wildfire. We did contain it from the minute we realized we had some cases. We did contain it and stop the guys working and tell them to stay in their area, and provided them with food and drink, which was the reason they wanted to roam around still. So we said, no, stay in, we'll bring food to you, and we've supplied them with food and water. But it's just gone wild. I mean, 31 out of 43 or 44 people in that area.
Well, according to Yates, she was initially informed that testing would have been conducted on the remaining 70-plus employees on day 8 of isolation, which was on Saturday, September 25th, to determine their COVID status. However, she said that she was later informed that the untested employees would have to isolate for an additional 2 weeks, which would equate to a total of 21 days of isolation before being tested for the virus.
And the government we're talking about testing these people on Saturday, and we were all prepared that, okay, we'll be tested on Saturday, and then we know, yes, we got something, or no, we don't. I mean, it's 8 or 9 days after the first case was discovered. So it's time for it to have incubated or whatever. But what they're saying is that now they'd rather, instead of testing us now, they want to wait 2 more weeks. So it's 21 days after. And I think that is doesn't make sense to me, so that we're all locked up for 2 weeks, not knowing whether we've got it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And several of us have taken, the rapid test, because we have the rapid tests. One of us taken the rapid test, and we know that we've come out clear, but still, we've got to stay in quarantine for 2 more weeks.
Well, Yates continued that this policy is one that she could not understand, as 93% of her staff is fully vaccinated, and having all her workers isolated for some 21 days and not being allowed to be tested is not right. What she said, similar to the protocols in place for tourists who, once testing negative, are allowed to freely roam the territory, her workers who were not in contact with the positive cases should be allowed to be tested and continue their daily lives similarly.
Criticism is that the government, we're opening up to tourists, which I think we need to do. The tourists are going to be allowed and just do a PCR test. As long as they come in with a negative test, then they're allowed to roam. And if they're fully vaccinated, we've achieved 93% vaccination in our company, 110 out of 120 workers, which I think is extremely high. And all of the the people in the infected area are vaccinated, so we don't have any serious illnesses. They're feeling a bit uncomfortable and stuff like that, some of them, but it's not, there's nobody in any danger that we know of. I mean, we feel that if a tourist can come back, to come to the island and with a negative test be allowed to go anywhere they want, then our workers that are not in the infected area that should be allowed to test. They shouldn't be told that they have to stay home in isolation for 2 weeks with their families in some cases.
Well, viewers, the managing director said such a decision not only impacts the business financially, but also the workers mentally. Well, she said her company, at minimum over the next 2 weeks, will stand to lose $250,000, which will also impact the workers and their families, as they are only paid for work conducted.
These are workers that are here, and just the fact that they don't know, when they see so many of their fellow workers are found positive. And, and the virus is frightening to a lot of people. I think that more than the economical, the company, it hurts the workers, the fact that they're workers that get paid for building something, rather than workers that are sitting in an office all day like the government, where, so it's government business, it'll get done whenever. With a building, you have to build a building to get paid to get your wages. And it's a difference between government and private enterprise. It's the workers that suffer. The business suffers somewhat, yes, but a business has ways of recovering because it doesn't have as much outgoing. It's not paying out the wages. So, yes, it's losing a profit, it's losing income, and it gets put behind on its projects, so it may have to pay overtime in the future to catch up, and it hurts it that way. But the main thing is the workers that don't get paid because they're not producing, and companies can't afford to pay.
Well, viewers, Yates said the company is presently operating on its reserves, which are presently low after battling with COVID-19 for more than 18 months. Well, 284 News also attempted on several occasions to contact Chief Medical Officer Dr. Ronald Georges to get his comment on the alleged protocols. However, we were unsuccessful up until the broadcasting of this story. Ron, there are two sides to the story, and we will honestly really like to hear what the Chief Medical Officer have to say about this developing story.
I agree. Viewers, continuing on the local scene, the Mourant HLSCC College Classic Series kicked off its 26th year on a Saturday. I want to just pause for a second and highlight 26th year. That is quite an accomplishment for the College Classics being in its 26th year. Much commendation to the team at HLSCC. September 25th at the college's Paraquita Bay campus with 41 participants in the open 2-mile race. Under the theme Moving Together for the Fun of It, organizers have scheduled 3 races on Tortola and a very special race for the cause on Virgin Gorda. 15-year-old Jonathan Litch became one of the youngest to win the race opener, clocking 11 minutes of 58.64 seconds, while past overall female champion Rosamond Johnson crossed first for the females in a time of 15 minutes 41.14 seconds. Race director Mrs. Stephanie Ross Penn said, and I quote, "Despite still not being able to run the races as in years past, it was a good start to what should be another excellent race series. Participants eagerly and happily walked, jogged, and ran. Seeing and feeling community spirit remains an honored pleasure to partake in." The H. Laverty Stout Community College Race Series continues on October 9th with another open 2-mile race at the Paraquita Bay campus. This year, the Tortola Series will not see a cross-country division where teams participate, but it will conclude with another elite relay exchange where relay teams of 3 persons can participate. The college continues to partner with the law firm Mourant, providing a green and safe event. Participants are asked to bring their own water bottles and adhere to social distancing and safety measures outlined at all events. Distribution of water otherwise is in reusable cups instead of disposable plastic bottles. For more information and to participate on the upcoming races, persons are asked to contact the race director, Mrs. Stephanie Ross Penn, via telephone number at 284-496-7155. Again, that number is 284-496-7155.
Well, viewers, up next, Olympian Chantel Malone received $12,000 check from government for reaching finals at the recently concluded Tokyo Olympic Games in Japan.
The wait is over. CCT Fire is here. Experience ultra-fast downloads, seamless streaming, and even more reliable connectivity on an all-new fire-blazing super-fast CCT Fiber network. CCT Fire. Bring it home and upgrade today.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Welcome back, viewers. Well, Olympic Games in Japan, the government of Virgin Islands awarded Olympian long jump athlete Chantel Malone with a $12,000 check for her recently completed reaching the finals in that event in the just concluded Olympic Games in Japan. Well, the check was handed to Malone as she was welcomed back home in the territory for the first time since completing at the Games during a specially held press conference at the Terrence B. Lettsome International Airport. A minister responsible for sport, Dr. Natalia Wheatley, prior to surprising Malone with the check, commended her for her many accomplishments to date, naming Malone a living legend in the BVI's athletic history.
But certainly, we can feel really good about our accomplishments as a territory. And Chantel, you can be really proud. And when President Ephraim read the list of accomplishments, that you're well-decorated athletes, and I would say a legend already, a living legend in the BVI, and based on your accomplishments, we'll have to certainly acknowledge beyond a shadow of a doubt that you all are the most successful athletes in BVI history and some of the most successful athletes in this region.
While the minister also spoke on his government's continuous commitment to support athletes in the territory, was stated that no amount of money could ever pay for the type of representation exhibited by the BVI professional athletes on the international stage.
I want to say, Chantel, that I'm extremely proud of you, and I will certainly seek to do even more than we've done before, because through the journey I know there was some level of anxiety about support, of course, and being able to do all the things you need to do, get the treatments. The athletes that you're competing against, they don't have any shortage of support in those type of areas. And while we're a small territory, we're just a fraction of the budget of those countries. We're going to seek to do more, we will do more to support the development of our athletes. And that's something that I can promise, and I know Minister Malone will back me up on that as well. As well as the leader of the opposition. I know he'll back us up. We're together on that. So I think this is the moment. President Ephraim gave some flowers. I can't match flowers, but I'll give you this big piece of cardboard that we have here, and you'll be able to buy lots of flowers with that. So you can approach and we can give you our tangible thanks and appreciation. Yes. So on behalf of the government of the Virgin Islands, we present you with this check of $12,000 for being a finalist in the Olympics at Tokyo. Extremely proud.
Meanwhile, Chantel Malone said while being present in the BVI, she intends to get back to her roots as a means to reset and prepare for her upcoming athletic season.
I want this trip home to be a little more different. In my head, I want to get back to the roots of what made me me, what makes me happy, and just you know, going back to the basics, like running on the road. I plan on training probably for like a week or two here before I head back. Yeah, so it's about recharging and like just being centered. I want to get back to a place where I'm centered in a world where I feel like there's so much pressure being put on us to have everything figured out. And, you know, I think that's something I really need to work on right now. So that's my purpose for coming home, along with sharing, you know, the celebration with you guys.
Well, viewers, Malone said she will also be looking forward to mentoring the young local athletes at a number of school visits and camps, which is a collaborative effort between the BVI Olympic Committee and the BVI Athletic Association. And viewers, well, that's all we have for today's newscast. I'm Kamal Haynes.
And I'm Ron Grant. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to stick with us, and we'll be right here tomorrow again with more local, regional, and international content. A happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. Bye-bye.